What's up, guys, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, insane people, and everything in between. Hope you're all doing wonderful. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here, and as usual, we're getting right into today's Reddit posts. Told off lady in airport for being extraordinarily rude to a stranger. Her husband was too exhausted by her to stand up for her. I went on a baby moon with my wife to Kona, Hawaii. This happened at the airport on our return trip. If you've never been, the Kona airport has no closed terminals. It's a bunch of giant open-air pavilions that are right next to the aprons and taxiways, so it's noisy from all the ground equipment, aircraft APUs, etc. Because of the noise, it's really hard to hear the announcements from the gate agents. Me and my wife noticed that a bunch of other people were starting to flock towards the door, and it looked like a line for boarding. As my pregnant wife and I were walking towards the line, a lady our age, 30, next to us said, "I think this is the line for boarding, right? Are we boarding now?" I replied, "I'm not sure, we're just along for the ride and hope we end up on the plane." The lady bantered back something like, "I guess we'll find out." Cue the done-up, wealthy-looking, cream pantsuit boomer lady with a fancy bag, walking opposite side of us, speaking over us to the first lady. Well, if you'd bothered to pay attention, you'd know they're announcing boarding groups. First lady was just kind of meekly shocked. "Oh, I just didn't know." The boomer lady says, "Yeah, we can all tell." I'm a pretty laid-back guy and always willing to talk to strangers. I usually assume if someone is being a turd, they've probably got their own problems. But the way this old lady just spoke down to a friendly stranger twice, looking like Wish.com Hillary Clinton, set me off. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Sorry we inconvenienced you, but that's really no reason to be f***ing rude to a complete stranger. You sound miserable to be around." It was so direct and unexpected, the lady just did a stuttering scoff and fell behind. I walked away with my wife guffawing and chuckling next to me, feeling 10 feet tall. I thought it was over until, as we approached the gate agent with our boarding passes, I saw movement behind me. The lady was speed shuffling up the priority boarding lane and slipped into line right behind us and said to the man there, "That's him, that's the guy who cussed me out." Her husband was the guy in line behind us, and she had caught up to him. The husband said, "This guy?" And I was immediately prepared to de-escalate, but he just looked back at me somberly. I just told the truth directly and said, "I didn't cuss her out, sir. Your wife was being awful to a stranger, so I told her to stop being f***ing rude." The old man just looked back at her and said tiredly, well, honey." The man knew. He knew there was no reason to defend her. He didn't even say anything to me, but I saw the apology in his eyes. By that point, it was our turn to board, so we sit down and have a sleepy flight back to Alaska. By the way, it's a baby boy due in September. We're naming him Gideon. He will be hilarious like me and good-looking and wicked smart like his mom. Entitled woman goes off on unconscious employee. This happened a number of years ago and I still think about it. I worked at a bakery that primarily employs individuals with special needs. I have high-functioning autism and ADD for those wondering. In the nights leading up to this incident, my sleep schedule was way out of whack. As a result, I was trying super hard to keep my eyes open on this particular day. In walks the entitled woman of this story. Yippee. My cashier friend and I say the usual, "Hello and welcome to Redacted." She was at least kind enough to return our greeting. As she browses through the selection of desserts, I use this opportunity to put my head down, as she wasn't looking at me or asking me any questions. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Well, it wasn't. I suddenly experienced tunnel vision, and then I was on my back. I apparently went unconscious for about a minute and fell. I was told just last year that the entitled woman said something along the lines of, "Excuse me? Would you stop having a seizure?" Luckily, the cashier yelled to both of my bosses, yes, there were two, that I had passed out. One of my bosses rushed to my aid, while the other went over to talk to the entitled woman. I don't remember anything about what the conversation between the two was, as I was still shaken up by the whole ordeal, but I'm pretty sure the entitled woman was told to leave and not return. And on a similar note, here's this one as well. I had a seizure, but she's the one who's uncomfortable. As the title suggests, I'm epileptic. Thankfully, the kind of epilepsy I have isn't as severe as what most people typically imagine, and I'm now on a much better regimen of meds to help manage it. But epilepsy is not exactly well understood by the average person, despite being the fourth most common neurological condition in humans. Last year, my husband took me out to lunch in a nice cafe for my birthday, and then shortly before our order arrived, I had one of my seizures. It didn't last long and I wasn't injured, but it was still embarrassing for me. I can understand how it would catch people off guard, but most people with more than 2 brain cells in their skull at least understand what a seizure is. Everyone except some Deborah with the Louis Vuitton knockoff purse in a corner, who uttered something about how uncomfortable she was after having to see that. Oh, excuse me, you're uncomfortable? If you think seeing a seizure is uncomfortable, I hope you never have to experience having one. Entitled parent tries to drag me out of the park. So this happened a few days ago and I thought that some of you here might enjoy it. Some important background information is that even though I'm 16, I look like a 12-year-old girl. It's like I stopped aging after middle school, so encounters like this one aren't uncommon, but this is the worst one so far. So Thursday, I went to the park alone just to sit at a beach, enjoy nature, read a book, scroll on my phone, etc. So there I was when I noticed this lady next to the playground watching me. She kept looking at me and after 10 minutes, she started to walk towards me. I let out a sigh and prepared myself because I already had an idea of where this was going. The lady comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, young lady, but where are your parents? Are they here?" "No, they're not here. Don't you think it's dangerous for a girl your age to be alone?" "No, not really." The entitled parent now sounding a little annoyed. "A girl like you shouldn't be left unattended. Where are your parents? I want to talk to them." "Ma'am, I appreciate your concern, but I'm 16, and I am very capable of taking care of myself." I must guess I picked the wrong chat option because after I said that, she got super mad. "Don't lie to me, young lady." "I am not lying. I'm not stupid, I know what a 16-year-old looks like." "Look, here's my driver's license." I pull out my wallet and show her my driver's license. She glances at it and scoffs. "Please, I know a fake license when I see one. My 10-year-old could do a better job making one." "What? No, it's not fake. Can you just leave me alone?" "If it's not fake, then you'll have no problem showing it to those officers over there." She points to a police car that's parked on the side of the road. And before I can say anything, she reaches down and grabs my wrist, really hard too, pulls me off the bench and starts pulling me to the cop car. "Let me go, you're hurting me," I said. As we got close to the car, an officer came out and came up to us. "Is there a problem, ma'am?" said the officer. "Yes, there is. The entitled parent pulled me in front of her. Tell the man what you did." "Jack shit, that's what I did. Now let go of me." "Ma'am, is this your daughter?" "No, she's not my mom. She's just some random lady," I said. "Ma'am, please let go of the child." The woman then let go of my wrist. "She's lying about her age and she has a fake driver's license," said the entitled parent. "Do you have a fake ID, miss?" "No." "May I see it?" "Yes." I pull out my driver's license and hand it to him. "How old are you?" 16, I said. The officer looked me up and down before checking my driver's license. "Ma'am, this is a valid driver's license." "What? No, it can't be. She doesn't look 16. She's too young." "The ID is valid and it says she's 16, and it's not a crime to look young. However, it is a crime to drag someone across the street." "But wait, Ma'am, if I were you, I'd stop talking. I'd also apologize to this young lady." The entitled parent gave a half-hearted apology and ran off. The officer then made sure I was all right, apologized for her, and handed back my driver's license. After that, I grabbed my stuff and went back home. So that was my most recent experience with the crazy person. Plane seat bandit finally happened to me. Me and my husband always buy plane seats towards the back of the plane. As we stroll down, we see a lady with a young son, maybe 11 or 12, sitting in our seats. They were both deep in their phones when I told her she was in our seats. We had to wake up at 3 to drive to the airport and we didn't really sleep, so I was not in the mood for bullcrap. She smiles and tells us that they weren't seated together, so the stewardess told her they could sit there. She most definitely didn't. I smile back and say that we paid for these seats, so we would like to sit there. She keeps smiling her stiff smile and points to the other empty seats behind us and asks if we wouldn't mind sitting in one of them, since they are already settled and comfortable. Would it even matter? Well, I said yes, since the plane is still boarding, so these might all be reserved, and it really messes with the system if people sit in random seats. She is starting to lose her smile and says if there aren't seats available after the plane is finished boarding, they would move then. I am not confrontational and am usually a people pleaser, so I'm struggling to stand up for myself, but I'm so proud for doing it anyways. Meanwhile, my husband is struggling between boarding passengers to get the flight attendant. I sigh and with a half smile say I'm sorry, but I just want to sit down, and not stand in the aisle blocking people to see if maybe there are empty seats when I paid for our seats. And besides, I would like the police to be able to identify our bodies by seat number in case the plane crashes, and our families want to bury our remains. The kid's face, which has been glued to his phone this entire time, shoots up in shock, and he looks between me and his mom. It was delicious. She has a bewildered look on her face. There is silence for 5 seconds before she packs up her stuff and pokes her son to move. I keep smiling sweetly and thank her and plump myself down as my husband returns with a flight attendant. I tell her everything is fine and tell my husband what happened. We laughed and I'm pretty sure the mom heard, or I hope so. Out of all the stories we've read about plane seat stealers, this is one of the better ways to deal with it. No need to get the help from flight attendants in this case. If there's a parent with the kid, just traumatize the kid and make him deathly afraid that the plane's gonna crash. Anyway, friends, that's going to be all for today. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. And also, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more Reddit content if you haven't already. So I'm out of here. Take care, and I'll see you next time.